Welcome to This Explainer. So today we're taking a look at a really brief, intimate morning prayer, but we're going to use it to explore something much bigger, how we manage daily anxiety, and ultimately how we practice surrender. Because honestly, this text, it's so much more than just a recitation of words. It's kind of like a masterclass in psychological framing. We're going to deconstruct it piece by piece to see exactly how it takes someone from that groggy, totally overwhelmed reality of waking up and moves them to a place of peaceful readiness.
And let's just jump right in with the big question we all face the literal second the alarm goes off. You know the feeling, the weight of the morning just hits you. The to-do list floods your brain, and the uncertainty of the next 16 hours is just looming. So how do you actually prepare your mind for that? What's the mechanism for stepping into the unknown without being completely crushed by it before your feet even hit the floor?
Well, to figure that out, we're going to track the emotional movements of this text through three really distinct phases. We're moving methodically from gratitude into a petition for energy and order, and finally landing on complete surrender. Let's see how this whole journey kicks off.
Right away, it grounds us in gratitude. And actually notice what isn't here. There's no immediate panic about the day's tasks. None. Before a single responsibility is even brought up, the focus is anchored entirely in acknowledging steadfast love and renewed compassion. It's brilliant because it establishes a foundation of safety. By starting here, we're shifting our focus away from what we dread or what we lack, and we're putting it entirely onto what's already been provided the moment we open our eyes.
Now, this next part is super interesting because of how fast we admit to our own human uncertainty. Saying, I don't know how much I'll get done. How liberating is that? Before we've even had our first sip of coffee, we're basically relieving ourselves of the burden of needing to know everything. It acknowledges our inherent limitations right out of the gate. It's essentially giving us permission to say, hey, it is perfectly okay that I don't have this entire day totally calculated and controlled.
And building directly on that limitation, we get this incredibly vulnerable plea for physical renewal. Because it's so relatable, right? It acknowledges the sheer, heavy exhaustion that's sitting there at dawn, right when the urge to smash the snooze button is at its absolute peak. We aren't pretending to be these flawless superheroes ready to conquer the world. We're starting from a place of physical deficit, literally just asking for the energy required to participate in the day.
I love how this illustrates the intimate contrast going on here. On one hand, you have tired bones, this raw, deeply human physical exhaustion. And on the other hand, you have this request for a divine, energizing intervention. It highlights a core theme for us. We bring our fragile, totally depleted physical state, and we ask for an external, infinite source of energy to bridge the gap between what we have and what the day is going to demand of us. Then, the narrative shifts a little bit. The request moves away from just fixing physical exhaustion and turns into a plea for a much deeper spiritual and mental awakening. Because it's not just about having the literal calories to move your limbs, right? It's about having the clarity to recognize the wonder and the reality of a higher purpose as you go about your day. It's the transition from merely surviving the morning to actually being alive and aware in it.
But let's be real, physical exhaustion is only half the battle. What happens when the body is finally awake, but your mind is instantly racing in 100 different directions? We all know that terrifying mental flash of an overflowing inbox. So how do we find any sort of order in all that mental noise?
This is pretty much the modern human condition in a nutshell. You have a mind filled with creative ideas, but it's entirely jumbled. It's like having way too many tabs open in your brain all at once. The spiritual solution being asked for here isn't just give me better ideas. It's asking for someone to speak order out of the chaos. Because let's face it, good ideas aren't enough. Without order, all those ideas do is generate anxiety.
Which brings us to the most vivid, powerful metaphor in the entire text. It draws this absolutely epic parallel between the start of an ordinary Tuesday morning and the literal start of the universe. It references the Genesis creation narrative, asking the divine to act upon our messy, chaotic brains in the exact same way it acted upon the formless, chaotic void of the early cosmos.
Think about the scale of that for a second. We aren't just asking for a little bit of focus or productivity hack. We're framing our jumbled minds as an unformed earth. We are asking for a literal recreation of our thought processes, taking them from a state of total chaos into structured, functioning order. It's a massive, sweeping request, and I think it shows just how desperately we feel that need for mental clarity.
But coming right out of that massive request, the emotional arc just pivots dramatically. Up until this point, we've been actively pleading, give me energy, give me order, awaken me. But right here, the action stops. Help me to cease striving.
We transition from actively asking for the tools to manage our day to passively trusting that we'll be provided for. It's this incredibly conscious decision to just stop fighting.
You can really feel the energy shift. This is the turning point of the whole practice. We're preparing to completely let go of our need to control the outcome. We are ceasing our human striving. We're putting our trust in daily provision, believing we'll get exactly what we need right when we need it. And we're relying on a higher faithfulness to actually complete the work. It takes all the ultimate pressure completely off our shoulders.
And that leads us into the climactic act of surrender. All the requests are gone. No more asking for energy, no more asking for order. Instead, it's just absolute submission. I declare your sovereignty. I entrust myself to you. It's a definitive handing over of the reins. That anxiety of the unknown we talked about at the very beginning, it meets its ultimate antidote right here, the radical relinquishment of control.
Look at how beautifully systematic this is. It's a methodical total release. This day is yours. My body is yours. My mind is yours. Everything I am is yours. We are basically taking a full inventory of our existence, our time, our physicality, our intellect, our identity, and deliberately handing every single piece over, holding absolutely nothing back as we get ready to walk out the door.
And then the text concludes with this incredibly simple, humble desire. May you be pleased with me today. After moving through profound physical exhaustion, these massive cosmic mental metaphors, and total surrender, the whole thing distills down to a simple desire for alignment and peace. It perfectly wraps up the psychological journey, moving us from the paralyzing anxiety of a chaotic morning into this state of quiet, peaceful submission.
So, I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. Think about your own mornings. Honestly, how much of your early day anxiety comes from desperately trying to control things you fundamentally cannot? How might stepping into the great unknown of your day actually be easier and just vastly more peaceful if you deliberately gave up the burden of controlling it before it even began? Thank you so much for exploring this with me today. Keep learning, keep questioning, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.